Why do some people with average skills rise higher than those born with extraordinary talent? Why does the top graduate struggle to survive in the real world while someone self-taught becomes unforgettable? Maybe you've asked yourself that question. Maybe you've watched someone who seems less gifted move ahead while you feel stuck behind. And maybe a small voice inside you whispers, maybe I'm just not talented enough. But what if talent was never the deciding factor? What if the real difference was simply how someone shows up every day? This is the story of two young cooks, Lucas Rivera and Ryan Park, who walked into the same kitchen on the same morning, but walked toward completely different futures.
In the center of a crowded city stood Grand Mason, a restaurant known for its precision, elegance, and impossible standards. At the heart of it all was Chef Laurent, a quiet man with sharp eyes and even sharper expectations. He didn't talk much, he watched, and he remembered everything. On a rainy Monday morning, two new hires stepped into his kitchen.
Lucas Rivera was 26, a culinary prodigy, top of his class, trained in Europe, flawless knife skills. When he walked in, his jacket looked brand new, his posture confident, almost untouchable. "I trained under Chef Bellamy," he mentioned casually to the staff. To him, this kitchen wasn't a challenge, it was a stepping stone. Ryan Park was 23. No school, no certificates. 3 years washing dishes at a roadside diner, learning recipes from late-night YouTube videos and scribbled notebooks. His chef coat didn't quite fit. His hands trembled slightly as he greeted the team. He felt like an outsider before he even picked up a knife. But his eyes were curious, always watching, always learning. From the first week, the difference was obvious. Lucas arrived exactly on time, never earlier. He completed tasks with perfection, but never more than required. If someone asked for help, he'd say, "That's not my station." Ryan arrived 30 minutes early. He asked questions. He stayed late, cleaning corners no one noticed. He burned sauces. He made mistakes, but he learned from every single one. Chef Laurent watched both silently. 6 weeks later, during morning prep, Chef Laurent gathered the team. "In 3 months," he said calmly, "I will open a second restaurant. I need a sous chef." The kitchen froze. "I've been observing everyone," he continued. "2 of you stand out, Lucas and Ryan." Murmurs filled the room. Lucas smiled slightly. Ryan felt his stomach drop. "For 1 month," the chef said, "you will lead sections, handle pressure, and create new dishes. Then I will decide." Lucas thought, "This is already mine." Ryan thought, "I don't belong here." During the competition, Lucas's technique dazzled everyone. Every plate looked perfect. But when a junior cook broke down during service, Lucas sighed. "Some people just aren't cut out for this." Ryan's food wasn't flawless, but his energy changed the room. When that same junior cook panicked, Ryan stepped beside him. "Breathe," he said softly. "We'll fix it together." One Saturday night, the restaurant was packed beyond capacity. Then disaster struck. The main oven shut down. Panic rippled through the kitchen. Lucas froze. "This isn't how it's supposed to work," he muttered. Ryan stepped forward. "I've worked with broken equipment before," he
he said. We can adapt. For 3 exhausting hours, Ryan improvised dishes, moved between stations, and kept everyone focused. He wasn't the most skilled person there, but he became the strongest presence in the room. Chef Laurent said nothing, but his eyes followed Ryan the entire night. The next morning, Chef Laurent placed 2 knives on the counter. One expensive, one worn and taped. The expensive knife, he said, lifting it gently, is perfect, but useless if it stays clean. Then he held up the old blade. This one survives because it's used every day. He looked at Lucas. You are the perfect knife, impressive but untouched by effort. Then at Ryan. You are the worn knife, imperfect but reliable. Silence filled the kitchen. Talent is your starting point, Chef Laurent said quietly, but attitude decides your future. That conversation changed both men. Lucas arrived early the next day. Awkwardly, he asked Ryan, "Need help?" It felt strange, but he kept trying. Ryan, meanwhile, began believing he belonged. His confidence grew. Not arrogance, just quiet strength. Their last challenge was simple. Create a dish that represents who you are. Lucas presented something technically brilliant, complex, precise, but cold. Ryan's dish was simpler, inspired by his mother's cooking, elevated with everything he'd learned. It told a story. Chef Laurent tasted both in silence. Lucas, he said, your technique is flawless, but I taste your training, not you. Then he turned to Ryan. This dish has heart. That evening, the entire team gathered. Lucas, Chef Laurent said, you've grown more in 2 weeks than most people grow in years. Don't stop. Lucas nodded, humbled. Then the chef faced Ryan. The sous chef position goes to you. Ryan's eyes filled with tears, not because he won, but because for the first time he believed he deserved to stand there. The second restaurant opened successfully. Ryan led with humility. Lucas stayed at Grand Mason. What he changed? He became a mentor, a teammate, a leader without ego. And slowly, he began building something even stronger than talent: character. Maybe you feel like Ryan, underqualified, unsure, always comparing yourself to people who seem ahead. Or maybe you feel like Lucas, talented, capable, but wondering why success still feels distant. Here's the truth. Talent opens doors. Attitude keeps them open. Skills can be learned. Consistency is chosen. And the person who keeps showing up, imperfect but committed, will always outlast the one who relies only on natural ability. So ask yourself today, do you show up early? Do you help others? Do you keep going when it's uncomfortable? Because success isn't built in one perfect moment. It's built in thousands of ordinary days where you choose effort over ego. You don't need to be the most talented person in the room. You just need to be the one who refuses to stop growing.